Now, today, you're going to learn a mobility routine that involves a foam roller. This routine is something that you're going to do on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday this week. As you learn this routine, it's something that can be substituted for, or if you'd prefer, used in addition to the core foundation routine that you've already learned. Now, I would recommend, very similar to the other routines that you're learning, that you set up some kind of a reminder system or trigger for you to remember to do this on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday this week, whether that be something that you write down or an app or piece of technology that you use to pop up a reminder for you. Now, the reason that I'm a huge fan of using something like a foam roller is because as you exercise and as you engage in a lot of moves that might be new for your body, not only are you going to get sore, as you might imagine, but you'll also experience things like cross-linking and adhesions between the fascia and the soft tissue and within the joints. Think of a foam roller as a poor man or a poor woman's massage therapy tool, meaning it allows you to actually engage in massage therapy without relying on someone else to actually do the massage for you. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of massage therapists. They can get into areas with their thumbs and their elbows that things like a foam roller might not be able to do. But for a general routine that's going to keep you mobile and keep you in the longevity game and also maintain symmetry for beauty, you just can't beat having a few foam rolling routines up your sleeve. And I'm going to show you a few of my favorite moves today. The way I like to do my foam rolling routine is I start farther down in the body and just work my way from toe to head. So the first area that you'll target will be your calves and your lower legs. Now, there's two different ways that you can do this. You can go with one leg at a time, or if you're trying to squeeze as much as you can into a short period of time, both legs at the same time. I don't mind doing both legs at the same time, but I'm going to show you a trick so that you're able to hit all of your calf muscles as you do this. Now, I'm going to apply as much pressure with my legs as I can against this foam roller as I roll back and forth. I'm going to do 10 passes over my entire calf musculature with my feet pointed straight at the sky. Now, once I'm ready to hit the outside of my calves, I point my feet out. I externally rotate my toes. And as I do so, that exposes the outside of my calves to the foam roller, and I do 10 more rolls from the lower leg all the way up to the knee in that direction. Once I've done about 10 rolls in that direction, I point my toes towards each other so that I'm then able to hit the inside of my calves, and I roll about 10 times to the inside of the calves. Once I've finished up the calf work, it's very simple. I just move from the knees, where the hamstrings attach, all the way up to the hips. So now I hit the back of the legs, like so. If you find that by doing both legs at the same time, you're unable to get as much pressure against the hamstrings as you would like, simply take one leg, place it on top of the other leg, and roll while applying pressure with one leg against the leg that's against the foam roller. Once I've done my calves and my hamstrings, I'll typically flip and get the other side of those same body parts. For the calves, I'll hit the shin muscles. A lot of people get shin splints when they run or when they walk for long periods of time, and this is a perfect move for that. You'll simply get into a push-up position, place your shin against the roller, and roll the shin out again for 10 passes. Once you've done 10 passes for each leg, you can move up to your quads, the opposite side of the hamstrings that you worked. This works just fine to do both legs at the same time. I'll simply roll back and forward for about 10 passes or so. Now, if this feels really good, you can do it for 2 or 3 minutes. But about 10 is the minimum number to work on the quads or any of these other body parts. So, once we've got those areas out of the way, the next step will be the inside of the thighs and the outside of the thighs, what we call the adductors and the abductors. For the adductors, it's a little bit tricky, but you want to get into a position in which you can throw one leg over that foam roller. Once you're in this position, you'll simply roll from the knee all the way up into the crotch. Again, about 10 times for the left leg and 10 times for the right leg. Once you've worked the adductors on both sides, then you'll move on to the outside of the thighs. This, as you can imagine, simply involves a very similar position, but for the outside of the legs. For this, you'll start on the outside of the knee, roll all the way up to the outside of the hip, and then come back to the outside of the knee. Again, for about 10 passes. Once you've done each of those moves, you've tackled your calves, the front of your legs or your shins, your hamstrings, your quads, your adductors, and your abductors. Just so you can get a better angle for the outside of the leg, for that abductor, I'll show you on the other side as well. Again, I'm simply placing that knee over the foam roller, rolling up to the hip, using my arms and my opposite leg as leverage from the outside of the knee up to the top of the hip. So for the hips, what you'll want to do is sit on top of the foam roller and then cross the leg as though you're sitting cross-legged in a chair. From here, orient your hip so that you're targeting the outside of your butt against that roller, and roll about 10 times on your right side with that hip open and exposed against the roller. Once you've worked the outside of your hip, you'll then move on to the inside front of your hip. For the inside front of your hip, simply place the very, very top of your leg against the foam roller, and for this you can either roll up and down like so, or, and I found this to be more effective, you simply rotate from side to side like so, rolling your entire hip back and forth against that foam roller like so. Once you've done the outside of the hips and the front of the hips, you'll then move on to the upper body. The first move for the upper body will cover your entire low back. You'll simply place the bottom of your low back against the foam roller and roll all the way up to your neck and then back down. Hands can be clasped across your chest, or if you'd like to expose more of your shoulder muscles to that foam roller, you can place the arms back behind the head. Now, if you have extra time for your foam roller routine, I would encourage you to shift just slightly to your left and do about 10 passes on the left side, hitting all these muscles on the left side of the low back, and then shift to your right side and hit all those muscles on the right side of the low back. Once you've done your low back and you've hit all those muscles along the back, you'll then move up to the chest and the shoulders. For the chest and the shoulders, you've got two different moves that you're going to do for each side. The first is as so. You're going to orient your body over that foam roller, starting on the inside of your armpit. And then you're simply going to roll all the way down your rib cage towards your belly button, like so. You'll hit your chest, the inside of your armpit, all along your rib cage, and down into your stomach with this move. You'll want to do about 10 passes on your right side, and then 10 passes on your left side. The other move that you're going to want to do for your shoulders and your upper body is to get into this position again on your back. But this time what you're going to do is simply roll completely onto your left side and then reverse direction and roll completely onto your right side. Back and forth. You'll feel this in your lats and you'll feel this in the inside of your armpits. Now you're going to finish with dessert. The final move, which feels fantastic on your neck, especially if you tend to hold a lot of tension in your neck muscles. Simply roll forward until your neck is on that foam roller. I like to place either hand on each side of the foam roller to hold it in place, and then look to your left and look to your right. Rolling your neck back and forth over that foam roller. If you happen to be using a foam roller like the one I'm demonstrating right now, which has little ridges on the outside of it, it's called a rumble roller. This will actually dig even better into your neck muscles. So those are all the moves that you'll do with the foam roller. Let's review. You've got your calves, and then the front of the calves, or the shins. You have your hamstrings, or the back of your legs, and the quadriceps, or the front of your legs. You have your adductors on the inside of the legs, and your abductors on the outside of your legs. Next, you have the outside of your hips and the front of your hips. Then you move on to your back, the middle of the back, the left side of the back, and the right side of the back. Flip over, get the entire left side here and the entire right side here. And then go back over to your back side and hit the shoulders up in here and up in here before finally finishing with your neck. Once you've done about 10 passes for each of those muscle groups that I've just shown you, you're going to feel as though you've given yourself a full body massage. It's fantastic for mobility, it's fantastic for recovery, and it's fantastic for the main two reasons that you're doing this quest: your beauty and your longevity.